You won't believe this. I finally cracked the opening scene of Avengers Doomsday, and when I tell you, it's going to blow your mind. I'm talking about Dr. Doom, and in the very first scene of the film, killing none other than the original Captain America, Steve Rogers. Now, that sounds insane, right? Like, why would Marvel Studios start one of their biggest movies with such a shocking and brutal scene? But if you stick with me, you'll understand why this is not just a possibility. It's actually the most logical and powerful way for Marvel to set the tone for Avengers Doomsday. So don't even think about skipping ahead. Because by the end of this video, you'll see how the seeds of Steve's death were planted all the way back in Endgame. And more importantly, you'll see why Dr. Doom is not just another villain. He's the only character who can truly take the mantle from Thanos as the next big bad of the MCU. In one of my recent videos, I told you about Chris Evans' return. We know he's back, but we didn't know in what form. People kept guessing, maybe Captain Hydra, maybe Nomad, maybe just a variant cameo. But I told you something different. I said, what if Chris Evans is back as the original Steve Rogers, Earth 616 Captain America? And what if his return isn't some cheerful, nostalgic fan service, but instead the setup for his final, heartbreaking death? Well, the answer is here now. And it's even crazier than I expected. Because Dr. Doom isn't targeting Cap randomly. He has a reason. A deeply personal, logical, terrifying reason. And it all ties back to one mistake that Steve Rogers made at the very end of Endgame. Let's rewind. We all remember that scene. The Avengers successfully beat Thanos, but to fix the timeline, somebody had to go back and return the Infinity Stones to the exact places they were taken from. And Steve volunteered. A beautiful moment, right? A noble sacrifice. Except here's the catch. Time travel is not clean. It's messy. Every single jump creates alternate timelines, splintering realities, butterfly effects that even the TVA in Loki would struggle to explain. Here's the simplest way to understand it. Imagine yesterday morning at exactly 10 a.m. you ate a burger. Today you time travel back to yesterday morning. And this time, instead of eating it at 10 a.m., you eat it at 10 a.m. and 01 seconds. You think that's a small change, right? But in reality, you just created an alternate timeline. Because now, in that branch, everything that followed after will be different. Maybe you missed a call. Maybe you arrived 1 minute later to work. Maybe the ripple effects change your entire future. That's how fragile time travel is. So now think about Steve Rogers. He had to return the Space Stone, the Mind Stone, the Reality Stone, the Power Stone, the Time Stone, and yes, the Soul Stone. It's practically impossible for him to return all of them to the exact millisecond they were removed. Even if he did, the Soul Stone is a whole different story. You can't just hand it back like a library book. Someone had to sacrifice their soul for it. Natasha died for it. So what did Steve actually do when he returned it? Did he just toss it into Vormir's pit? Did he speak to Red Skull? Did he reverse the sacrifice somehow? Nobody knows. Marvel never told us. And that mystery is the crack where this entire Doomsday story begins. But let's assume he somehow managed to return them correctly. Even then, he made a huge irreversible mistake. Instead of simply returning to his own time, Steve stayed in the past with Peggy Carter. He didn't just stay for a minute. He didn't just steal a dance. He stayed for decades. He lived with her, married her, built an entire alternate life. And then, only after becoming an old man, he appeared back in the present timeline to hand his shield to Sam Wilson. Beautiful ending, yes. But logically, a disaster. Because the moment Steve stayed in the past, he created an alternate timeline. That timeline was never supposed to exist. Peggy was supposed to marry someone else. Steve was supposed to be frozen in ice. By inserting himself into that period, Steve altered everything. And in the multiverse, actions like that aren't forgiven. They create incursions. Now, here's the million-dollar question. If Steve stayed in that alternate reality, then how did he return to Earth 616 as Old Man Rogers? Because remember, when he went back, Hulk, Bucky, and Sam were waiting for him to reappear on the quantum platform. That's how the machine worked. Just like when Scott Lang traveled. Just like when Tony and Cap traveled. You leave from the platform, you return to the platform. But Steve didn't. He wasn't there. Instead, they found him sitting calmly on a bench, watching the lake. That is literal proof that he didn't come back through the machine. He crossed over from an alternate timeline. And that, right there, is the reason Dr. Doom wants him dead. Think about it. The Ancient One warned Bruce Banner, remove one stone from its place and you create a new timeline. Bruce, in his arrogance, argued that if you put it back, the branch disappears. But that was never tested. That was just theory. In reality, once the multiverse splinters, it doesn't magically stitch itself back together. The branch exists, no matter what. And Steve not only created branches, he lived in one. He made it real. He gave it decades of permanence. That ripple effect is now colliding with Earth 616, causing an incursion. And Doom, being the master strategist he is, has figured this out. He knows exactly who is responsible for the coming destruction. Not Wanda. Not Kang. Not Sylvie. Steve Rogers. The noble, selfless hero who wanted nothing more than a quiet life with Peggy. Ironically, he's the one who doomed the multiverse. This is why the opening scene of Avengers Doomsday makes perfect sense. Imagine this. The movie begins quietly. Steve Rogers, back in that house with Peggy. They're living their normal, peaceful life. It feels warm, familiar, like Marvel is giving us fan service. And then suddenly the atmosphere shifts. The door creaks open, and in walks Dr. Doom. Not with a cheesy monologue, but with calm precision. He doesn't care about Peggy. He doesn't care about sentiment. He's there for Steve. Because to him, Steve isn't a hero. He's a mistake that needs correcting. And within minutes, Doom eliminates him. Why start the film this way? Because Marvel already showed us with Infinity War how to establish a villain's dominance. Thanos killed Loki in his very first scene. It shocked the audience. It told us immediately, this villain is no joke. Doom killing Steve Rogers achieves the same effect, but on an even bigger scale. Because Steve isn't just another Avenger. He's the heart of the team. He's the symbol of hope, of resilience, of doing the right thing. If Doom can take him down effortlessly, then the audience knows this guy is on another level. And it's not random cruelty. It's deeply tied to the multiverse story Marvel has been building for years. Remember the leaked set photo I mentioned before? The house that looks exactly like Peggy's home? That's not just a coincidence. That's the setup. That house is where Doom strikes. Now, before anyone says, but isn't Doom supposed to fight the Fantastic Four first? Yes, eventually. But Doomsday isn't about a small battle. It's about the multiverse collapsing. Doom isn't just a scientist. He's not just a dictator. He's a man who sees himself as the savior of existence. To him, eliminating Steve isn't murder. It's prevention. It's surgery. Remove the tumor before it spreads. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Doom isn't just targeting Steve. Steve is the first, the symbol. But Doom's real mission is to track down every single being who caused or accelerated incursions. That's why in leaked concept art we saw Doom clashing with the X-Men and Sentinels. Was he there just to pick a fight? No. His actual target was Monica Rambeau. Her presence in Earth 1005 caused an incursion. Doom doesn't care about mutant politics. He cares about stability. But here's the tragic twist. Doom will eventually realize he can't kill everyone. The multiverse is infinite. There will always be another branch, another incursion. So what does he do? He comes to the ultimate conclusion. The only way to truly save existence is to destroy the multiverse completely, and with Franklin Richards' help, rebuild it as a single, unified universe. No branches, no variants, just one reality ruled by him. But none of that matters if we don't start at the beginning. And the beginning is Steve Rogers. The man who thought he was retiring peacefully with the woman he loved, not realizing his choice would set fire to the multiverse. And that's why Avengers Doomsday, in my opinion, will open with Dr. Doom killing Captain America. Now that you understand why Steve Rogers is Doom's very first target, let's push further into the heart of this story. Because the shocking truth is, Doom doesn't see himself as a villain at all. He sees himself as the only one brave enough to do what the Avengers, the TVA, and even Kang refuse to do, make the hard choices to save existence. And this is where Robert Downey Jr.'s return as Dr. Doom becomes so much more than just fan service. Think about it. For over a decade, RDJ was the face of the MCU. He was the genius, billionaire, playboy philanthropist who sacrificed himself to save the universe in Endgame. But Marvel knows that if they bring him back as Tony Stark again, it cheapens his sacrifice. That moment loses its weight. So what's the solution? Bring him back in a role just as iconic, but darker, scarier, and more complex. Enter Dr. Doom. And this casting isn't just shocking for the audience. It's symbolically perfect, because Doom is Tony Stark without the heart. He's what Tony could have become if he let his ego and intellect completely consume him. A man who believes he alone has the right answers. A man who believes he alone can save the world, even if that means burning it down. So when RDJ walks into that opening scene as Doom, killing Steve Rogers, the symbolism is almost poetic. It's not Iron Man killing Cap. But to the audience, it feels like it. The chemistry, the history, the weight of those two actors colliding again on screen, it makes Doom's arrival hit 10 times harder. Now, let's dig into Doom's actual mission. Because people keep asking, if Doom is trying to save the multiverse, why start with Steve? Why target these specific heroes? Well, to answer that, we need to revisit what an incursion really is. We learned in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that an incursion happens when two universes collide. Sometimes it's caused by a sorcerer dreamwalking, sometimes by someone being displaced from their original reality. But at its core, an incursion happens because two universes exist in the same space, fighting for dominance. One survives, one dies, or both are destroyed. Now imagine Doom sitting in Latveria, studying cosmic energy patterns, analyzing data from countless universes. He realizes something terrifying. Incursions are not random. They're caused by individuals who break their natural reality. Steve staying with Peggy. Wanda dreamwalking across realities. Strange tampering with the Darkhold. Loki and Sylvie killing he who remains. Each action destabilizes the structure of the multiverse. And Doom, with his unmatched intellect, connects the dots. To him, these people aren't heroes. They're catalysts. They're bombs waiting to go off. And if left unchecked, they'll eventually trigger the collapse of everything. So Doom forms his plan. Not to conquer. Not to rule, at least not yet. But to eliminate the key individuals responsible. A controlled purge to restore balance. That's why he kills Steve first. Because Steve is the most symbolic. If he can kill Captain America, the ultimate good guy, then no one else is safe. And that's exactly the point Doom wants to make. There are no heroes, only mistakes. Now let's connect this with the leaks and rumors we've heard. We've seen concept art and early descriptions of Doom fighting the X-Men. But as I said before, his real target wasn't the mutants. It was Monica. Because Monica's energy signature doesn't belong in that reality. She was displaced after the events of the Marvels. To Doom, she's another ticking time bomb. But of course, the X-Men aren't going to just hand her over. So we get this incredible battle, Doom versus the Sentinels versus the X-Men, all while his true mission is hidden in plain sight. And here's where Doom differs from Thanos. Thanos had one singular solution: wipe out half of life. Brutal, but simple. Doom's approach is layered, strategic, intellectual. He's not just swinging fists. He's manipulating timelines, hunting key players, calculating ripple effects. He's the chess master of the multiverse. And that makes him even scarier. But here's the problem. Doom's plan isn't sustainable. He can't hunt down every single anomaly. The multiverse is infinite. There will always be another Steve, another Wanda, another Strange. He realizes this after clashing with multiple heroes across different universes. Each time he eliminates one problem, another arises. And this is when Doom has his epiphany. The only real solution is not to fix the multiverse, but to destroy it. And this is where Franklin Richards enters the picture. If you remember the post-credit scene from Fantastic Four, Doom kidnaps Franklin. Why? Because Franklin Richards is not just a mutant. He's not just Reed and Sue's son. He's a reality warper. He has the ability to literally create universes. And Doom, in his arrogance, believes he can use Franklin to collapse the multiverse into one singular reality, crafted in his image. No more incursions. No more chaos. Just one universe, one ruler, one Doom. Now, let's circle back to Steve Rogers, because this is where his death carries even more weight. It's not just shock value. It's the emotional anchor for the entire Avengers team. Imagine Sam Wilson finding out that the man who gave him the shield, the man he looked up to, was murdered by Doom. Imagine Bucky's reaction, losing Steve again, but this time permanently, brutally. It's the perfect way to unite the fractured Avengers under a common cause. And speaking of fractured, this ties into another theme Marvel has been building. The Avengers are no longer the tight-knit family they once were. Post-Endgame, the team is scattered. Thor is in space. Strange is lost in the dark dimension. Wanda is presumed dead. Hulk is busy with Sakaar. The young heroes are rising, but they're untested. Doom's arrival is the spark that forces them back together. Not out of hope, but out of necessity. Because Doom isn't going to wait. He's not going to give them time to heal. He's striking at the heart of the multiverse, one hero at a time. Now let's talk about RDJ's Doom specifically. Because I know some people still doubt this casting twist. But if you think about it, Marvel loves to play with audience expectations. Imagine the trailer. The lights dim. You hear a metallic mask clink into place. And then the voice. Familiar but colder. Not the playful wit of Tony Stark, but the commanding, ruthless tone of Victor Von Doom. The audience gasps. It's Robert Downey Jr., but it's not Iron Man. It's something darker. That single moment would break the internet. And narratively, it works beautifully, because Doom as RDJ creates an eerie parallel. The Avengers once trusted this face, this voice, this man. Now they're facing a version of him that doesn't love them, doesn't care for them, and won't hesitate to destroy them. It's the ultimate betrayal without actually undoing Tony's sacrifice. Think of how Steve's death plays into that. In Civil War, it was Tony versus Steve, ideology versus ideology. Now, years later, it's RDJ versus Chris Evans again. But this time, it's not a debate. It's execution. Doom kills Cap, and in that moment, the audience feels the full circle of their dynamic, only twisted into something horrifying. But here's what makes Doom truly terrifying. He's not wrong. That's the part that will eat at the audience. Because when you really think about it, Steve did cause an alternate timeline. Wanda did destabilize reality. Strange did mess with forbidden magic. Sylvie did kill He Who Remains. These heroes did make choices that threatened the multiverse. Doom's logic is airtight. His methods are ruthless, but his reasoning is sound. And that moral grayness is what elevates him beyond Thanos. He's not just a madman with a gauntlet. He's a savior with a scalpel. And this philosophy doesn't just stay in his head. Doom spreads it. He makes speeches. He forces heroes to confront their guilt. Imagine Doom telling Sam Wilson, "Your hero worship blinded you. Rogers was no saint. He doomed you all. I merely corrected his error." Imagine him telling Strange, "Every spell you cast is a fracture in the wall. You call me a monster, but you are the disease." These aren't just threats. They're truths wrapped in venom. And that makes him harder to defeat. Because deep down, the heroes know he's right. And this is where the multiverse saga takes its darkest turn. Doom isn't just killing. He's converting. He's planting seeds of doubt. He's making heroes question whether they deserve to exist at all. Some may even sympathize with him. That's the genius of Doom. He doesn't need to win every battle. He just needs to break their spirit. Now let's foreshadow where this all leads. Doom's killing of Steve is the first domino. From there, he targets anomalies across realities. Monica, strange variants, Wanda, if she survived. Even Loki and Sylvie. One by one, he hunts them, building his case for why the multiverse must be destroyed. Meanwhile, the Avengers scramble to regroup, fractured and unsure. Can they even stop someone who seems to be doing the right thing in the wrong way? That's the tension. That's the story. And that's why Avengers Doomsday won't just be another superhero beatdown. It'll be a philosophical war. Doom's ideology versus the Avengers' hope. And it all began with Steve Rogers, the hero who thought he found peace, only to realize that his peace came at the cost of reality itself. So, we've seen how Doom's story begins, his first strike against Steve Rogers, his crusade across the multiverse, his cold logic that makes even the most hardened heroes second-guess themselves. But now we need to talk about where all of this leads. Because Doom's plan doesn't stop with hunting anomalies. It doesn't stop with Cap or Monica or Strange. No, his endgame is far bigger, far more terrifying, and it sets the stage for the most cataclysmic Avengers story ever told. Let's be clear, Doom is not like Thanos. Thanos thought balance could be restored with one snap, a brutal but quick fix. Doom knows that's a child's dream. He's not seeking balance. He's seeking permanence. He wants to reset existence so that the chaos of infinite universes can never happen again. And the way he plans to do it is by collapsing the multiverse into a single reality, one world, one history, one set of rules. A world without branches. A world without incursions. A world ruled, of course, by Doom. And that's where Franklin Richards comes in. Because Franklin is the key. This boy has the power to literally shape reality, to dream universes into existence. He's basically a living infinity gauntlet. And Doom knows it. That's why he kidnaps Franklin in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. Not to ransom him, not to hurt him, but to use him as the engine to build a new universe after Doom tears down the old one. Now imagine the Avengers as they piece this together. They've lost Steve. They've seen Doom cut through the X-Men. They've watched him chase Monica across realities. And finally they realize his true plan. He's not just cleaning the board, he's going to flip the table entirely. Suddenly, this isn't just about survival. It's about existence itself. Because if Doom succeeds, every universe they know, every memory, every victory, every sacrifice will be erased. And only Doom's version will remain. This is the point where the Avengers realize they can't run. They can't wait for someone else to fix it. They have to come together again, fractured or not. But here's the catch. This isn't the same team that fought Thanos. Tony is gone. Natasha is gone. Steve is dead. Thor is off-world. Strange is trapped in his own mess. It's up to Sam, Bucky, Bruce Carroll, Wong, Shang-Chi, and the younger heroes like Kamala, Kate Bishop, and America Chavez. They're underdogs in the truest sense. facing the smartest, most prepared villain Marvel has ever introduced. And that's why this movie is called Avengers Doomsday. Because for the first time, the heroes know they might not win. This isn't a war they're certain to survive. It's Doomsday, the ticking clock of existence itself. Now let's talk about the emotional center of this story. Doom killing Steve Rogers isn't just an opening shock. It's the wound that bleeds throughout the entire film. Sam Wilson carrying Steve's shield feels the weight like never before. Is he even worthy to wield it when the man who gave it to him was branded the destroyer of the multiverse? Bucky, once a broken soldier healed by Steve's faith, now burns with rage at losing his brother all over again. Bruce, the scientist who once insisted time travel was safe, realizes his theories failed and Steve paid the price. Every character carries guilt, anger, or doubt because of Steve's death, and Doom knows it. He weaponizes it. He whispers truths into their ears, forcing them to question if they even deserve to fight back. That's what makes Doom terrifying. He doesn't just attack with armies or magic. He attacks the soul. He convinces you that maybe, just maybe, he's right. That if you let him win, you'll save billions of lives by sacrificing your own universe. That's the insidious genius of Doom. He makes surrender feel like salvation. And this is where RDJ's casting becomes a masterstroke. Because when Robert Downey Jr. delivers those words, when he looks these heroes in the eyes and says, "You call me a monster, but I am the cure," it hits differently. It feels like Tony Stark, but stripped of heart, stripped of humor, stripped of humanity. A shadow of what once was standing as their greatest enemy. And for the audience, it's not just Doom versus the Avengers. It's the ghost of Iron Man against the legacy of Captain America, clashing one last time in a way nobody expected. Now, of course, no Avengers movie is complete without a climax that makes your jaw drop. And here's how I think it goes down. Doom uses Franklin Richards to initiate his universe collapse. The skies fracture, worlds collide, universes burn. The Avengers throw everything they have at him. Sam with the shield, Bucky with vengeance, Carol blazing through dimensions, Shang-Chi wielding the rings, America Chavez ripping open portals. They fight across collapsing realities, each punch echoing through multiple universes. But here's the twist. Doom is winning, because every time they think they've beaten him, he's 10 steps ahead. He anticipated their moves, studied their histories, exploited their weaknesses. He's not fighting with brute force. He's fighting with inevitability. Just like Thanos once felt unstoppable because of the gauntlet, Doom feels unstoppable because of his mind, his armor, and Franklin's power. And then, just when all seems lost, when the skies are ripping apart, when universes are imploding, the Avengers realize the only way to stop Doom is not to outfight him, but to outsmart him. They can't beat him at his game, but they can break his control over Franklin. Because at the end of the day, Franklin Richards isn't a weapon. He's a child. And Doom, for all his genius, underestimates the power of choice. If the Avengers can reach Franklin, remind him of who he is, remind him that he doesn't have to obey Doom, they can shatter the plan from within. That's the heart of this story. Doom has intellect. Doom has power. But the Avengers have heart. And even in the darkest hour, that's what sets them apart. Now, whether Franklin breaks free in this movie, or whether it leads directly into Secret Wars, we'll have to wait and see. But one thing is certain, Doom's plan won't fully succeed. He may collapse some universes. He may kill heroes. He may scar the multiverse forever. But he won't erase everything. And that tiny sliver of hope is what sets the stage for the grand finale of the multiverse saga. But let's bring it back to Steve Rogers one last time. Because his death is not just the opening shock. It's the moral lesson of the film. Steve wanted peace. He wanted a quiet life. But in choosing it, he doomed the multiverse. And that choice, that very human, very relatable choice, is what sets the entire chain reaction in motion. Doom doesn't just kill a man. He kills the dream of going back. He kills the idea that you can escape responsibility. And for the Avengers, that's the hardest truth of all. So yes, I believe Avengers Doomsday will open with RDJ's Dr. Doom killing Steve Rogers. And that single moment will ripple through the entire film, through the entire saga, and through the hearts of every fan watching. It's brutal, it's heartbreaking, but it's the only way to make Doom the villain Marvel needs him to be. And if all of this comes true, if Marvel really has the guts to start their movie this way, then we're in for the darkest, most emotional, most unforgettable Avengers story ever put on screen. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think Marvel would actually go this far? Do you think RDJ as Doom killing Chris Evans' Cap is too crazy, or is it the exact bold move the MCU needs right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know this theory is going to split opinions right down the middle. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, if you had fun diving deep into the logic, the leaks, and the storytelling possibilities, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications, because trust me, the next few videos are going to cover even more wild Doomsday and Secret Wars theories, and you won't want to miss them. And if you really want to support the channel and keep these deep dives coming, consider dropping a $25 super chat during our next live stream. That goes directly into helping us research, edit, and bring you the absolute best Marvel content out there. Every bit of support means the world, and it's what keeps us going strong.